Okay, here's the thing. If you clicked on this channel for how-to educational content like tutorials, you might be disappointed. I think the only how-to video I created was the how to multiply succulents really fast video, probably also the cactus myths you should unlearn video. But with those videos, I was speaking from a place of lots of experience and I felt more confident and comfortable in talking about that kind of stuff. This garden, there's going to be a lot of firsts. Like the kitchen garden I built in the last video, and I'm pretty much vlogging the whole thing. There's going to be so much that I don't get right, and sometimes, if it's not too costly, I actually like making the mistake for myself. I know what I'm like. The best way for me to learn is to see, like with my own eyes, how something fails. When I get it right, I'm just like, oh, I know how to do that. Making the mistake actually forces me to assess my process and come up with more creative ways to problem solve. This is the first time I'm breaking ground. I didn't actually ever have to do this at the old place because I only ever planted in existing raised beds. And even though that didn't have the best soil, it was always good enough for the cacti and the succulents. I'm planting this cactus into what I think is very compacted clay soil. And this is the first time I'm going to be doing something like this. Part of me is like, why am I recording this for YouTube? Why don't I try this off camera at least once? And if it works, you can record and upload a more refined process. All right, who cares? This is what we're doing. We're testing soil. I'm going to try and figure out how to loosen compacted soil just using very simple tools because I can't keep spending money on new tools. And eventually, over time, we're going to work out what plants thrive here, balanced out with some plants that maybe won't do so well, but I just kind of love. And I know some people are going to say, well, that plant isn't going to work in your environment, but just let me make the mistake. Just let me learn something from it. I'm aware that not everything is going to work, but this year I'm all about progress, not perfection. So let's make some mistakes, shall we? I'm just going to rip it out. Where's my spade? I'm going to test the soil for clay, although I'm pretty sure that we have clay soil. Oh, this is hard. Wow, this is super hard. So now we wait 48 hours and see what layers we get in terms of clay, silt, and soil. Did I say soil? I meant sand. The layers are silt, clay, and sand. I would love for this to focus. This has been sitting for over 2 days. I'm surprised. I thought it was going to have a lot more clay. I figured out the percentages. It was a very boring process because it involved mathematics. But basically, we have 24.39% clay, 17.07% silt, and 58.53% sand. And when you put those numbers on the triangle diagram thingy, we have sandy, clay, loam soil, which I'm surprised with because I thought for sure we were going to have clay soil. So this means that it has a texture that leads more towards sandy but still has enough clay to retain some moisture and structure. It's a mix between sandy soil and a clay soil, providing a balance between drainage and water holding capacity. That's not as bad as what I thought. It's very compacted though. I don't think I'll amend it with gypsum because I read somewhere that gypsum is only useful for breaking up clay particles. It's not gonna help break up non-clay compacted soil. I wonder if I just keep adding nutrients to the soil, if that's gonna work. I don't know. Anyway, let me know if you have experience with sandy, clay, loam soil and what you've done to kind of get it working. Okay, so here's my plan. Welcome to my living room, by the way. I am going to do more house content eventually. I just wanted to get started on the yard pretty much straight away. Now, the first thing I did in, I guess, coming up with a concept or an image, even just having an image in my head, I had to consider what the existing environment was. is. So that being what the house is, because architecture is really important. You can also just do whatever the hell you want, but the house is part of the environment. And so that is a building, a structure that offers a style as well. And also you need to acknowledge what the current state of the yard is, because unless you're bulldozing everything over, you do kind of have to work with what you're given. I do in my case, because I just don't have the funds to completely start from scratch. You know? And yeah, so the existing environment can offer you a style and you can work against it or you can lean into it. But it's a choice. For me, even though I predominantly love cacti and succulents, I also love so many different garden styles. Maybe the least favorite, my least personal favorite is a formal garden. I think there are aspects of formal gardens that are kind of really cool, like I'm really struggling to think of one off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's one thing that I like. It's just that right now I'm just not interested in an evergreen hedge. I don't want a buxus ball in the middle of my garden or a series of them. That's a little bit my personal nightmare. We're all allowed our own tastes. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, consider the environment. So this house is more of a cottage style garden. Like there's lots of greenery around, lots of trees. It's almost got that woodland kind of feel. And I still want to showcase the cactus that I love, but I also want to find a way to work with the existing environment rather than working against it. Obviously, I'm a big fan of desert gardens, the kind that you see Laura Eubanks making over. I often say that Laura is my patron saint because honestly, she saved me during the pandemic and she's how I got into gardening. However, I feel like our style of housing and our environment is just a little bit different from what she is working with. I mean, maybe if I had like a Spanish style house or like a little mud brick house, a desert garden, like a proper desert garden would suit that much better, but I'm gonna go a little bit more cottage vibe, and that's always been my personal style anyway. So there's two things that I'm thinking about when I'm mixing cactus and perennials. There's the contrasting textures. I love the way that a softer plant can balance out the brutalist nature of a cactus. And I don't mean brutalist in a negative way, that's just a description word that I'm using. Cacti are my fave. I love how intense they look, but they are very heavy plants. They're very weighted. And the softer perennials just offer a lighter weight against that. I'm also thinking about movement in the garden. So cacti, agaves, and actually a lot of succulents, they kind of just sit there very still. And that's not bad, having mostly still things in the garden, but I guess what I'm interested in, my personal preference, is to play with things that offer movement and sway in order to counter that stillness. That's why even for something like portulaca, which I've been using since my balcony days, I love putting those in the mix because there's something about the flowers that just offsets the heaviness and the gravity of otherwise very still plants. I don't know if I'm making any sense. Anyway, so those are my ideas. We are gonna start. Here is a picture of the garden. I tried to remove the plants with AI. There we go. It's not the best job, but let's go with it. Actually, I think I left out an echeveria at the bottom of the screen there. Anyway, by the way, this was just a little exercise for me to start thinking about what the possibilities were just in terms of like plant combinations and placement and things like that. It sort of helped me reimagine the space a little bit better. Okay, so the cactus is going in first. Yeah! And then I got these two pots. No, I got a pot and I got a bird bath. Okay, there's the pot. It's actually quite big. And when I put it next to the cactus, I was like, oh no, is that too big? But I'm just gonna work with it. I don't normally go in the direction of stone pots, but I'm feeling that that's the vibe. Stuff like stone, concrete, maybe some types of terracotta are gonna be good for this design. Let me just find the bird bath. Where is it? Yeah, this again was our Facebook Marketplace, and I really wanted a low set bird bath that could kind of like just sit nicely in with a couple of the ground covers. I did think that potentially we could have these a little bit closer, but I'm not too sure. I might need to have a play around with it when we get out there. Anyway, we're not being super exact. This is all just a very kind of like, it's all very brainstormy and nebulous at the moment. Okay, so the plants that I have bought some Gara. Oh, it's going in behind that pot, which I love. Yeah, I placed some Gara there. The second thing I bought was Sanguisorba, which I had never come across before, but I did see it at Bunnings and I was like, that is what I want. It's a bush, it's a little bit like Gara. It's like got a flower that's shaped like a pill. As soon as I saw it, I was like, yes, That's what I've been imagining in my head next to cactus. So we have sanguisorba. Where is the sanguisorba? I bought 2 pots of those. I know that you're supposed to buy things in 3s, but like some of us have a budget. I'm breaking the rules because I can't afford to plant in 3s and 5s, all right? So the sanguisorba, I think because that is, that's a taller plant, I'm just gonna kind of like put it a little bit more in the background. Where is it? Sanguisorba. I had to look up how to say that, by the way. No, that needs to go behind the other Gara. There we go. That's not the best cutout job. What's next? Oh, the Chrysocephalum. Chrysocephalum desert flame. Yes, so I loved having Chrysocephalum so much in my old garden that I really wanted to find a place for it again in this current garden. I couldn't find the exact variety, which was Chrysocephalum Kate's Orange. That's what I used to have. However, Chrysocephalum desert flame is something that I'm constantly seeing in nurseries. So one of my requirements for gardening in a rental was to find perennial plants that I could leave in the ground and not get too attached to when time comes to leave again. This is stuff that is widely available in nurseries, I would say. Except for maybe the sanguisorba. What was I talking about? I'm just ranting here. Chrysocephalum! Here's where I've placed them so far. One here, one here. I actually don't know where to place this. Yeah, I might place it there. I kind of wanted a ground cover hugging the bird bath. Oh, it looks great. This isn't what the garden's gonna look like, by the way. Like these plants are way mature. They're probably also a little bit more full looking than what they're gonna look like in my garden, which I don't mind. These are probably a little bit too bushy for me. Certainly it's not gonna look like this week. Okay, so we have the Gara, the sanguisorba, and the Chrysocephalum. So what is going to go in this pot? I really want it to be a specimen pot. We currently don't have anything that's big enough to fill this pot, but let's just imagine, where are we? Yeah, that's one of the blue glows from my garden. Again, it's not that big, so I'm probably gonna have to do an arrangement and then just take out the excess stuff over time while the agave grows big enough to fill that pot. I did actually buy a 3rd pot from Marketplace. It's a concrete pot. Where is it? Okay, so, shall I put this here or shall I put this? I was thinking here, not behind the Chrysocephalum. Excuse me, can you? Okay, there. I know what cactus I want in there. It's the Ferrocactus hystrix. We name it Hendrix, but it's a hystrix. A hystrix named Hendrix. Let's put in Hendrix. Come on. Oh, here. No. Oh, get in the pot. There we go, something like that. I have also been wanting to experiment with grasses. What I really like, oh my God, there's a wasp inside. What I really like are the grasses that have the foxtail flowers. You have to be really careful though, because there is a foxtail grass that is an invasive species, but then there are native grasses that are of the same variety that are non-invasive. It's a bit confusing, but just be careful when you're purchasing stuff, because I think I nearly purchased the invasive kind off Facebook Marketplace. So I've just gone online and had a look at where I can order some native grasses from. The native grasses are not invasive. They're a little bit of a safer option. So yeah, just take a little bit of care with that. I've been wanting to kind of experiment with grasses. This will be my first time using grasses in a garden. And there's 2 or 3 different kinds that I'm probably just gonna have a little bit of a play around with. The first one has a foxtail flower. I think it's called Penstripe. That one is a native. Yeah, there, which I think looks really lovely. Do I have that somewhere else in the garden? Oh no, wait, maybe this one here is one that's called Nayfrey. And then this one here that I'm about to put in is called Penstripe. I think the cutout job on this wasn't done very well. Maybe just because this one's been cut out a little bit better, I might just get rid of this and maybe just give this one a little bit of a different height just to get an idea. Okay, yeah, that's a little bit better. No, something like that. What fun this is. And there was another big grass that I wanted to put in. Where are you? Oh yeah, this one is a Japanese type of grass. How do I flip this? What would happen if we put this? Oh, what grass is that? Let me just have a look. It's called a, I think 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 it's call something. Miscanthus sinensis. Oh, it's native to Eastern Asia. So you can find it in China, Japan, Taiwan, and Korea. A slightly different flower to the foxtail, so I'm all about those different textures again. I don't know yet how I want to define the edge of the bed. What do people normally do, like wood or like a brick edging? I don't know yet. What I think we would be interested in doing one day is actually creating a pathway, like a wooden plank pathway that goes right up to this area. And so like this area here is going to be a second seating area. So the first seating area is on the back porch. That's where I have my morning cup of coffee, and this will be a second seating area. And what we eventually would love to do is get a pathway. We would love to have a pathway that winds up to that second seating area. We're probably going to do this very cheaply. It's going to be very DIY, but I don't know if we top dress this little garden bed with, I don't know. I don't know yet. I haven't kind of like gotten that forward in the thinking. Like I know that something's going to have to happen so that like the whole thing isn't just sitting on grass in order to really define that area. And on that note, I did think about placing cardboard down in order to kind of like reset the yard and create a defined garden bed space. I am just not prepared to wait 6 to 8 weeks. I just wanted to get some plants in the ground, and I've also just got content to create. So what I'm going to do is just get the main plants in. They're not all going to be this big to begin with, and then I will just cardboard around them. I've seen garden ants do it. I think it's going to be fine. So yeah, the cactus will go in, the pots and the bird bath will go in, the smaller versions of these plants will go in, and then we'll probably just cardboard around them. I'm probably going to find other spots to place cacti as well. Like this isn't like the design. This is just me having a bit of a brainstorm about some possibilities. So I do kind of like where this is heading. I do feel like it's missing something, and I think it's missing a couple of things. Firstly, there needs to be more cacti placed in and around this bed here. I'm going to find more opportunities for that. I'll probably do little clusters. So this one here, it can go here. Oh, I don't know where they should go. Also, I don't think it's that big. Maybe that big. Yeah. No, maybe it goes here. Maybe it anchors this pot. Why isn't this going behind? That should be going behind. Oh, this is so annoying. So just say that it'll go somewhere. It'll just go somewhere here. And we can also have, just so it doesn't look like it's hanging out on its own, we can also have, oh my sweet baby Jesus. Why is this so big? Why is this flipping out on me now? Why? I just deleted that image. I don't know. My computer was flipping out there for a moment. I can't add the cactus. So I do think that this still is missing something. I do love really bold colors. I'm very aware of not mishmashing too many colors together to make it look super busy. I really love the desert hollyhock. I've never seen them here, so I'm assuming that it's not something that is gonna like adapt well to our climate. I don't know. But what I love about the desert hollyhock is firstly the color, but also the structure. Instead of bushing out, instead of fanning out, it kind of is what do you call it? We call a spike. It's a bit more of a spike, so it offers a different shape as well. And if you put some throughout the garden, I think, it just kind of already looks so much better. And you know what? We are gonna put another one. We're gonna put another one here and just one more. So we're working in odd numbers. I can work in 3s and 5s on Photoshop, but not in real life with my budget. Like that to me already looks miles better. The color's not overdone. It just offers something to lift it a little bit, just make it a little bit more happy. The garden's not gonna look like this, firstly ever, but really it's not gonna look this full for a very long time. But I think it's just been good to just kind of like play around with things just so that I can kind of have a vague idea of, you know, where things can kind of like go. I mean, I can kind of do this on the fly, but I'm also just trying to create a plan beforehand to make things a little bit more intentional. I think this is good because it plans for a bigger picture. and it'll stop me from making impulse purchases with plants where I buy a plant just because I like it or it's discounted. Like the other day, I saw English lavender on sale at Bunnings and I nearly bought 3 of them and I was like, I'm not too sure where this fits, but I'm just gonna get it. And Tim had to remind me and say, do you actually already have a plan for this? And I was like, no, I don't. So I left them there at the nursery. I like this. There's something about this that I really like. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find a plant that looks like the desert hollyhock that's going to give me that same kind of like pop. There's nothing currently available in the nurseries that I can just take home. However, I did find desert hollyhock seeds online that I can order here in Sydney. So that's an option. And obviously in time, I'm gonna have to figure out what the other side of the garden looks like. This yard is just far too big for me to kind of like plant it all in one go. So I'm just taking baby steps. Yay! Okay, we actually have to get planting now. I feel a little bit apprehensive about getting started. Like staying in planning land, planning and brainstorm land is a little bit of a safety net. Putting something in the ground after you've planned for it just kind of feels so final. I've just got to remember where I put the cat. Why didn't I mark this? I'm not strong enough for this. Oh, it's working. Oh, much better. Oh, it's a twig. Oh my God. For a moment there, I thought I was going to unearth human remains on YouTube. It's a stick. What did I sign up for? Okay, at the very least, this is something I know how to do. Ooh, worms! I have such a narrow rake. I really need a bigger one. What does that look like? This is sort of where I need to depart a little bit from my plans because the plans kind of only exist in the 2-dimensional space. But now that I'm working on the ground, literally I've got to kind of figure out what's going to look good from both sitting areas. Thing is, the further we go uphill, the more we get into dappled light territory. Something like this. All right, so I've had a think, I've had some lunch, I had a hydrolyte, and I had some chocolate. Not necessarily in that order, but here's what I'm gonna do. I've got Chrysocephalum. I have Scaevola, lovely little Scaevola. And then I found these sedum dragons were from my old garden and I found a good spot for them. I think they would look really lovely anchoring the base of this pot. And then I kind of have the Gara positioned, do you mind? And then I kind of have the Gara positioned around the pot. It'll kind of soften up the hardness of the pot and it'll relate to the pot as well. So the pot won't just look like this thing that's hanging out by itself. This blue glow is entirely too small for this pot, so I may fill it out with other succulents, do an arrangement. The Sanguisorba right at the back there, you can barely see it, but I'm sure that it will bush out in time. I reckon I just start there. I think that when you're a business doing garden design, you're kind of thinking about the garden being self-sustaining, whereas I love moving things around all the time. I love gardening. I don't ever want to not touch my garden. I love working in it. I don't mind creating that a little bit, kind of moving stuff around as it grows. Like I don't mind doing that a little bit. So yeah, we're just going to get started with that. I can't find where our spirit leveler is, but did you know that you can actually download one on your phone? Change of plan. What if this was here? Yeah, I think I like that. The camera battery stopped working last night, hence the very abrupt shift in time. All of these held up well overnight, and I'm super happy about that. I did see a bird use this morning, so I'm super chuffed with that, helping out our little friends. Mosquito. We're kind of in this small window of time where we've got cooler temperatures, so I'm trying to get things into the ground and settled a little bit before temperatures go up again. But what I also might do is just mulch around the perennials. I haven't really done that before because most of my garden beds have predominantly been cactus and succulents. I'm only going to use it temporarily. I don't visually love the look of pine bark mulch around cactus, but at least until this gets a little bit more densely planted out and the ground covers grow, because that'll kind of do the job of what the mulch does. Oh, am I making any sense? What I am going to do for now is fill out this planter. Obviously, I'll need to leave the back of this bare so that I get access to the pot at any given time. And also, obviously enough, this agave blue glow isn't going to fill out the pot, so I am going to do a little arrangement. Eventually, I would love for this plant to fill out this pot on its own and to kind of be its own specimen. So I will put soil all the way to the bottom because I know that the roots on the blue glow are going to get really aggressive, and then temporarily fill the gaps with other plants and then just pull them out as the blue glow grows. I'm adding zeolite and pumice. These are the only two things that I'll use to amend cactus and succulent mix. Ooh. Okay, I kind of didn't want to do this because there's going to be two competing root systems here, but I just like it too much. I am going to add this in because I think it looks good. Yeah. Oh, gosh. Let's see how this goes in. Oh. Okay. All right, there we go. It will be getting stabbed a bit, but I think that's going to work. Okay, so there goes any hopes of it being a specimen planter. I just liked what I did too much. So I did add the Echeveria bluebird. I did also add the Portulaca grandiflora as well. And I think just like in this whole little bed here, I'm kind of missing that coral pink. I'm missing a bit of that brightness. I don't need everything to be a really intense color, but like just little pops of it every now and then. I don't know, I just love them. The Portulaca flowers aren't open yet because it's been cloudy and they only kind of come out with sun. But when they do open up, it's like, it's heaven to me. It's absolute heaven. The Echeveria Pappy's Rose I'm hoping will colour up just a little bit more in this spot. And yeah, I think the Echeveria Bluebirds there look really lovely. They're just so nice, you know? Yeah, I'm quite pleased with how that turned out. And we managed to get a planter arrangement into the landscape. So that is what I said I'd do in one of my previous videos. Oh, and also the trailing jade just kind of looks a bit crappy just because it's planted in at the moment. All the leaves will turn up to face the sun eventually once they kind of like get settled in this spot. But I think it's going to look good. Right, I'm going to plant up a couple more things and then hopefully we can leave this bed to settle just for a little bit. And I also need to pick up some pots from Marketplace. All right, Hendrix. That is gonna look so good, but how do I do this? Oh, this has got a lot of sand in it. Oh, they've done the whole rocks at the bottom thing. Oh, that's so heavy. Oh, this was a Marketplace purchase a while ago, and the woman that I got it off said that this was something like 30 years old. Ow, ow. Anyway, now it's got a bigger pot, so hopefully it can grow even more. Oh my gosh, I could do this all freaking night. Look at what I've done. Tim has helped me move a rock here, and I'm thinking about sinking this into the ground. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. I really want this blue glow to get bigger. Having them double will be quite nice. Look how grubby my hands are as well. So this will be one of the plants that we end up digging up when we inevitably move, this and that. We're gonna call this cactus Lana. Lana the Lanata, that's her name. Garden looks good. It's a good start. I just got to wait for everything to grow. The grasses are on their way. I did place an order, so planting those is going to be in a future video. The desert hollyhock seeds are on their way as well, though they do suggest sowing those in late winter. What I think I'm trying to go for is that wildflower look. I'm going to have to do more research on that. Any suggestions for an orange or apricot colored wildflower that can take sandy clay loam soil that's a little bit compacted? I know that's a long shot, but just let me know. All right, more soon. Have a good week. I'll see you in the next video.